in which they did. They honored it. They gave her a house in Enright Court. She didn't have to pay anything. It was a nicer house than what she had. Fair, okay. So then, the other residents that were there, they were just going to displace us.
Oh.
One of the residents was handicapped. He had had a brain injury, and he was handicapped. And so he walked. He'd only eat pizza. So he'd walk and get pizza and Cheetos and come back. That's what he lived on.
Good life.
But the walkability here is excellent. He was able to care for himself as best he could. He ate his favorite foods, no problem. He could walk to the grocery store. Target was just built there at that time, so he could go to Target and get what he needed. Just so happened, I happened to be reading the paper about this grant that they had gotten, and realized that this was federal land because back in the 70s and 80s, and I think in the 90s, there was a housing authority project there. So, ended up what happening was, once I found that out, I challenged the developer that you can't just put us out. Fed laws say that you have to move people from one place to a place that is similar to where they are. So they moved all the people to places that had the same walkability. That's good. I went back to Youngstown, Ohio, which where I had lived, for a long time. I went back to Youngstown. When they built this, I called and called and called and called and called to get back in because I like living here. Finally, one day I called and the lady said, "Oh, well, you know what? We've got an apartment available."
Amazing.
I come in, I walk into the apartment. I live right across the street. And I knew it was God that put me back here because when I walked into the apartment, my dining room window is the exact same view I had when I lived here before.
Oh, that's so special.
That's amazing.
Now, she showed me other apartments, but I was like, no.
This is the one.
This is it.
This is where I'm supposed to be.
Exactly.
I have the I know this is where I'm supposed to be. And so at that time I moved back. That was like 8 years ago. So I've been here for 8 years again. I love it. I love it. They then put in this park. And the park is wonderful because it's a place for children to play. Last year we had some problems in the park. We had high school students. This was known as the Green. And we would have high school students from different high schools come here, and this was the place where they would fight.
Oh my goodness.
There would be 50, 60 kids here. They would all have their phones like you, and then, I don't know what they call these fights, but anyway, there would be 2 kids or several kids in the middle, and then 50 or 60 kids around them, all filming the kids fighting. And it got to a point where people were really frightened to come to the park because the teenagers were overrunning. It got to the point where even, not only were there teenagers fighting, but this is hard to believe, but teenagers' parents would come.
What?
You beat up my child, so I'm gonna beat you up. And then they would go get, I'm serious. Then they would go get their mother, then the mothers would be fighting, the kids would be fighting. And so, of course, being here a long-time resident, I'm not having it.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I'm not having it in my neighborhood. That doesn't go down. So we had community meetings, and we would call the police and stuff. But there was a community Zone 5 meeting at the Kingsley Center. And the chief of police was there, and I challenged him. I asked him publicly, what are you going to do? And ultimately, I said, this place has a bad reputation, and now it's gotten to the point where kids from all over the city come. The security around here, this facility has security officers, and they wouldn't be able to do anything because this is public, this is city property. They're only hired to protect the residents here, but on the McCormick Barron property, not on this property. So I had them come to the public meeting, had several people come, and we put the police commander on the spot. And the next thing I know, he said that he would get his off-duty officers just to sit in the park and just sit there, you know, and that worked.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Now we don't have teenagers gathering here. They don't fight here anymore. They had gotten to the point where they were beating up adults.
Oh my
You
god.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
they just felt so
It's too much.
emboldened to come here, and this was the space where they would take out their grievances and where they would just fight. So now we don't have it anymore. As you can see, kids are playing and having, you know, fun. Parents come and sit. People have little parties here at their tables. It's a whole different place, and I love it. I love it. I love it.